All right, what else we got? Big T, you want to talk about college football playoff?
Nah, I mean, nothing's changed.
Nothing will change until the games are played, and then everything's going to change.
Well, but like from when we last discussed to the rankings, like nothing really
Pretty much what you expected.
earth-shattering happened.
I need a prediction from you on the record. Will Tennessee make the college football playoff?
Yes, I think it is more likely than not, but slightly.
What's your most likely path?
Ole Miss losing to Florida on Saturday.
Okay.
Or Notre Dame losing to USC.
That would be USC Super Bowl this year, right?
Yes. Played Penn State, very tough at home, should have beat them.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need one loss from any of Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Notre Dame, Penn State.
Including the SEC championship?
No, they're not gonna punish somebody who makes the SEC championship, which 10-3 Alabama getting in over 10-2 Tennessee, who beat Alabama, would be the most disgusting way this could end.
I don't like the idea of a 3-loss SEC team getting in.
But you have to account for the fact that if they punish a team who makes the SEC championship game, teams will actively try to not make the championship games anymore, which is worse for the sport long term.
So 3-loss Alabama could potentially get in over 1-loss Indiana.
No. Indiana's in no matter what, unfortunately.
Okay. Even if they get the shit kicked out of them.
I think they'd have to lose by like 50 points.
What do you predict in that game?
They're going to lose by like 17, 20.
Yeah.
They're not going to be competitive, and the only team they've played with the pulse this year, and they'll get in. And then they'll get killed at home by Ole Miss or Alabama or whoever goes there.
Is this loser talk that I'm rooting for Alabama? Because
yes.
So they're sorry.
Say yes.
All right, what about Indiana? Is it loser talk that I'm rooting for Indiana because their coach, Kirk Cignetti, he was the coach of JMU. He was the coach of Elon before that. Kirk gets hired by Indiana, imports like a group of 5 all-star team. That's basically what Indiana is this year. They're the best players from the smaller conferences last year, including, I think, 14, 12 players from JMU are on that team.
A bunch, yeah, I don't know.
So a lot of people are upset that Kurt Cignetti left JMU because he had said this is where he wants to retire. This is his last stop. He's an older guy.
They all say that.
But he did leave my school, but he did great things at my school. 2 Sun Belt championships that I personally count, even if the league doesn't necessarily reward that. But the fact that if our school can be a stepping stone school for coaches that go on to do great things at Power 5 conferences, I think that is good for where JMU currently is, for like attracting good coaches and just the notoriety of the program in general. I think that's a good thing. So even though he left me, I'm still kind of rooting for the guy.
No, I don't hate that.
Okay, all right.
I mean, there are JMU players like playing significant roles for Indiana.
Yeah.
So.
I've been called a loser for thinking that way. I think it's pragmatic. I think that's a realistic way to approach it.
Do you think they should get in if they lose on Saturday and finish having not beaten a single good team the entire season?
I don't know. I personally would say that they should get in, but that's just because I'm rooting for them. Like, I'm not going to be objective about this.
If you were objective.
I don't know. It's hard for me to be objective.
106th best schedule in America.
You play who you play.
That's the issue, yeah.
And they've got teams that in the past, like 4 or 5 games, would probably beat the shit out of Indiana.
Are you aware they also took Louisville off the schedule this year?
I am. That was not Kurt Cignetti that did that, though.
Correct. Well, athletic directors do that. But
yeah.
Louisville was on the schedule, and then they weren't.
Yeah. What was the reasoning for that?
Just teams buy out of games sometimes. I don't.
Yeah. That would have gone a long way to solidifying their case.
And now maybe they go out there and win. I hope they do, because it would be much cleaner than you go 12-0 and put them in number 1 if you want. I don't care. But if they lose by 30 and get in, I will be very upset.
Does this count as a big game on the Can Ryan Day win big games meter?
No, there's no upside here for them.
Yeah.
Because you're at home, you're a 13-point favorite. Like if he loses this game, he's going to get fired.
But if he loses this game, it counts as a Ryan Day can't win big games. Important games.
Well, like I said, it's heads I win, tails you lose. Like either he beats Indiana or he loses to Indiana.
Yeah. I was saying yesterday that Georgia to me seems like the best team.
They're up there for sure.
I feel like Georgia at their best beats any other team at their best.
Probably, yeah.
Except I don't know about Oregon. I have no idea what to even think about Oregon. Like Oregon at their best against Georgia at their best, no idea what that game would look like.
Like if it was I think the 5 best teams right now are probably Georgia, Bama, Oregon, Ohio State, and then that fifth's like maybe Ole Miss, although Tennessee's resume is better than Ole Miss, but like if I was another team, I would probably rather play Tennessee than Ole Miss. I don't know. It's a whole thing. We just need one team to lose.
Yeah.
Somebody lose a game.
Arian, have you kept track of this at all?
I have not. It's a lot of what ifs and all of that, and I don't really watch enough to, I'll catch some games here and there.
It's a whole racket.
Yeah, it's a lot of politicking going on.
Yeah, so who is in charge of the college football playoff? Ward Manuel?
Correct.
What are your thoughts on him?
He's a scumbag loser with no sense of what he's doing. He's a communist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Well, I mean, in a cruel twist of fate, my favorite sport is a pretty communist organization. We want a group of 5 team in. Get Indiana in there, all the teams that don't play anybody. For all they talk about an SEC bias, the bias is in favor of the little guy.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes. We have a spot of the 12 best teams, supposed to be what's the 12 best teams, designated for someone from conferences that we know do not contain the best teams.
Well, how can you say that?
How can I say it?
Yeah, how can you say that definitively? If a team wins every game that's on their schedule, how can you say that team is worse than a team that has lost 4 times?
Because 4 times, obviously that's ridiculous, but we know. Last year, Liberty went undefeated. They played Oregon, lost by 60 points.
Yeah, it was a great game.
And that Oregon team was not a playoff team.
But we've also seen teams from Group of 5 compete against Power 5 teams.
Sure.
Or Power 4 teams.
Yeah, that happens. That doesn't mean they're one of the 12 best teams in the country.
Yeah, but then you get into all this subjective stuff about we just know that
Boise and or BYU are going to get killed.
Well, BYU they're Power 4.
Yes, but that's the top 5 highest rated conference champions get in. So the Big 12, which is a horrific conference this year, their champion is going to get in. 95% likelihood. There is a scenario where that doesn't happen, but
that would be the most hilarious scenario, I think, is if the Big 12 champion wasn't in the college football playoff at all.
It would take a lot for that to happen, but it is possible.
It is possible theoretically, and I'm rooting for chaos in this instance. But you're just doing the eye test. I know that a team from
it should be
the Big 12
we should try to find the 12 best teams.
Okay.
And from whatever conference those come from, that's what it should be.
Ultimately, this boils down to a shitload of SEC and Big Ten teams.
Right, but even the Big Ten teams, only one of them has a win worth a shit, 1.5 if you count Ohio State beating Penn State, who didn't score an offensive touchdown. But
yeah, I mean, Penn State
has beaten nobody.
I guess they beat USC. That's their big achievement.
Their best
right?
win is 5-5 USC. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, Big Ten having a down year. SEC's just dominant this year. They've got good teams. They're so good that they beat each other.
I mean, yeah, the problem is let's, run a race. I'll run uphill, you run downhill. And then they say, okay, we'll win the race. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, the race is different.
That would be a good job, though, to be on the college football playoff committee. Just hang out, nice hotel room.
Yeah. I'm not convinced they're doing any work in there, but
no. How much do they get paid for that?
I don't know that they do.
Maybe briefcases under the table from ESPN.
I don't know. It's a whole thing. Somebody's going to lose. Ole Miss is going to lose to Florida.
Okay. Speak on it. Speak it into existence, Big T.